What's up guys, Talresin here, back again for another beginner guide for everybody's golf. In this guide I want to talk about the fine-tuning mechanic. It's a mechanic you unlock pretty early in the game, I think after rank 2 or 3, and I think it's one of the most underutilized features of the game, especially for new players. So I just want to go over exactly what it is, and then talk about some practical applications that you can use fine-tuning to help shave some strokes off your score. So the game refers to it as triangle and circle shots, and it says triangle and circle shots allow you to slightly adjust the power of a shot already taken. At the moment of impact, press triangle instead of X to slightly boost the power, or press circle to slightly reduce the power. So basically what that's saying is that after you've inputted your initial 2 clicks, the first click to start the bar, the second click to set the distance, your impact click, if you change it to a triangle or circle, can adjust the distance that you had previously set by a factor of 2%. So that's important to know. The factor of 2% doesn't change depending on what club you use, and it's also important to know that you can't go over whatever 100% of the club you're using is. So if you go max on the bar and then use a triangle impact, it's not going to go 102%. Okay, so I'll kind of run through the various applications for fine-tuning, and then I'll show an example of each one at the end. I kind of break them down into 2 categories: planned fine-tunes and reactionary fine-tunes. Now, planned fine-tunes are when you're going into the shot knowing that you're going to hit a fine-tune shot. And I think those are a lot easier for new players because you don't have to get baffled by a sudden change. You know that you're going to press triangle or circle before you even start the shot, which makes it a lot easier. So the most common use for me is when I want to shave just a little bit off the ball, off the yardage. So if I hit a drive full, maybe it brings some obstacles into play or something like that. So I want to hit a drive just not quite full. Or if I'm hitting an approach shot into the green and the club that I have is just a little bit too much, I just want to knock it down by a couple percent. I'm going to use the fine tuning mechanic rather than try to shave the ball manually. And the reason for that is, you guys might have noticed that it seems a lot easier to hit the bar full than anywhere else on the bar, including the impact. And the reason for that is because the way the white bar works, it goes to the left, stops, and comes back. So you actually have twice as much time to hit it at the very end of the bar than anywhere else on the bar. So that's why it's always more consistent to use the fine-tune mechanic, hit it full, and then just reduce it slightly afterwards. So basically for this shot, you're just going to hit it full, and then you'll be able to do that more consistently. And then as you set your impact, you're just going to press circle, and that's going to give you 90% of what you intended, and that's just going to shave off a little bit of that distance that you were hoping for. The other type of planned fine-tune is when you're 100% sure that you want to hit it full. And so you're going to go into the shot knowing that you're going to hit triangle on your third shot, and that's just going to give you more insurance that you're going to hit it as long as possible. So basically the reason for this is because you have absolutely nothing to lose. So if you go and you hit the bar and you get full and then you use triangle for your impact, no problem. There's no punishment for that. It's just going to go 100%. But if you happen to only hit at 96 or 98 and you've already pre-planned to hit triangle, it's going to push it that extra 2% to make sure that it goes as far as you were intending it. So that's another great planned application for fine-tuning. So the second category is reactionary fine-tunes, and that's when you realize you've made a mistake after setting your distance. You know, we've all done it. We sit there, we think, oh crap, I hit it way too hard, or I've hit it not enough. And then trying to adjust on the fly by changing the impact to either increase or decrease the distance that you initially set. These are a little bit harder to pull off, especially for newer players, because it is a little bit baffling to have to make a mechanical adjustment on the fly like that. And you'll find at the start it will have a pretty negative effect on your impact. Like you might not even get in the pink zone as you're busy trying to scramble to hit the button. But with practice, you'll just get better and better at it. And a nice way to practice it is actually to do so on the putting greens. So if you hit a putt too far or not enough, you can use the fine-tune mechanic to adjust it there as well. And the putting is a little more forgiving, I find, with the impacts, especially on short putts. So you're not going to be penalized if you start missing impacts. All right, let's take a look at some examples of fine-tuning in action. So here as I look at my shot, I'm going to see that if I hit a drive full here, it might bring that rough into play. So I'm going to use the planned fine-tune hit a circle shot here to take 2% off and just ensure that I'm going to stay out of that rough. And that's a nice fairway shot there. Now for my approach, I noticed that I'm only a few yards off here with this club, and so if I hit another fine-tuned shave, then I can hit it more or less pin high. So I hit circle again during impact to reduce it by 98 or to reduce it by 2%. And as you can see there, I got a bit of a toe hit, so it's off to the right a little bit, but more or less a pin high shot. And now I have a very reasonable putt for birdie. So that hole just goes to show you two really good applications for use of the shaving mechanic, and it allowed me to stay out of the rough on my drive and put it pin high in my approach shot. So here's an example of how you can use fine tuning to make sure you're getting the most out of your shots. This is a drive on a par 5, so I'm going into this knowing I'm going to hit a triangle shot just to ensure I get 100%. And as you can see in this case, it's a good thing I did because my initial shot only had the 98% and my triangle shot pushed it to a full shot, which is what I wanted. For my approach shot here, I've got 12 yards uphill and I'm shooting 13 yards over the hole, so that's a really nice club. So again, I'm going into the shot knowing I want to hit it full, so I'm going to hit a triangle shot here as well. And once again, I'm saved by this mechanic as I had initially only hit it 98%. And the triangle shot bumped it up to 2%, giving me the shot I wanted, which leaves me with a nice tap in for eagle here. So that's how you can use the triangle shot to make sure you're getting the most out of your drives, which is the most common usage, and to make sure you're hitting full shots into the green when you know that that's what you want. So as far as on the fly fine tuning goes, I find I use it most for these little greenside chip shots where you require the extra precision. Here I figure I hit it a little bit too hard, so I use the circle shot to reduce it by 2%. And as you can see, that ends up working out really nicely for me. So on those little short chip shots where that extra precision is really required, I find myself using those reactionary fine-tunes. I often do reactionary adjustments on the putting green as well, mostly because the impact isn't so bad if I miss it. So here I decided I actually needed to hit it a little harder than I initially did, so I use a triangle shot to boost it a couple percent. And as you can see there, I really did need 2%, so that came in quite handy. Alright, so that pretty much does it for fine tuning. Like I said, it really is an underutilized mechanic, so if you're able to master it, you'll definitely see an improvement in your scores. Start off using the planned fine-tunes, and then once you become comfortable with that, start trying to do some reactionary fine-tunes and see how that goes. I like to practice in the loading screen with the shot bar they have in there, so whenever there's an opportunity like that, I just practice fine-tuning to get more and more comfortable with it. But that is the video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.